All right, enough Juve. How about some quick hits instead?
Yeah, let's do it.
Liverpool stay top of the Premier League with a 2-1 win over Wolves. But Don, this was nervy at the end.
Oh, this was bite your nails. It was not a horrible atmosphere, but it was anxious. Just the fact that Arsenal clawed it back to 4 and Wolves' game was a must-win off the back of the draw at Goodison. So this game was very edgy. It was very nervy. Liverpool were okay for about half an hour of the game. Then they offered a way back to Wolves, and then they took it in the second half. Then all of a sudden, without that man there, Liverpool do not win the game.
Right, for those who are not watching, you're pointing at Virgil van Dijk.
I'm pointing to Van Dijk. Without Virgil van Dijk, Liverpool do not win that game last night.
He had zero shots of any kind in the second half. It's because at Anfield.
I know it's because they were trying to manage the game, Gab. It's one of them as a player when the result is the most important thing. Performance is performance, and you always want that as a manager because the performance will normally, tell you how the result's going to go. But there's certain games that you play in when it's nervy and it's anxious and it's a test of bottle. It's all about the win. So what happens is you tend to back off, protect what you've got. Then in the end, they got the result 2-1.
It's up to Slot to send the right message. It's up to. I think they're just tired personally.
No, I don't. I think it was the win that meant everything, and they had to somehow scramble over.
And
this
was the wrong way to do it because they would have lost.
Doesn't matter. They've done it.
No, it does matter. It does matter. It does matter. Variance. Okay, whatever.
It doesn't matter. They got the win. Who got the 3 points?
All right, go
Liverpool. Gab, to make matters worse, Wolves weren't happy about the officiating.
No, and I've highlighted 3 incidents here. One is on the Luis Diaz goal.
Yeah.
Did he foul that guy Agbadu who air kicks it?
No,
he didn't put him off. You think a professional footballer?
He did put him off. I don't think he fouled him.
All right. Konate on Mateus Cunha.
Yeah.
That
could have went.
Second yellow and you're off.
Yeah,
and you have a conversation with Konate. You can't put us in these situations.
I think that's referee's call. I think if you send him off, send him off.
It's a wrong referee. People are saying, "Oh, he's looking at the ball the whole way."
No, it's a foul. It's a definite foul.
What are you doing?
It's a definite foul. But
he knows what he's doing.
But not every foul has to be a card. That's what I would say.
But this should be a card because this is violent.
Right.
If you do that with your boot,
not violent. It's just mistimed a header.
Mistimed a header. Come on, man.
No. I'm saying referee's call. If referee had sent him off, I'd be sitting there going,
yes, and this was the wrong referee's call. And and finally, all right, the Jota dive.
Book him.
Why did he not get booked?
Book him.
I mean, I don't. People are like, oh look, VAR did such a good job.
And he's got a history, Jota.
I mean,
he's got a history of doing that.
I hope it's not this idea that VAR can't be used to book players.
Well, it is because they can't, but I mean...
Well, I'm sorry, but once you overturn it, you should be able, in this specific incident...
I agree with you.
Because you're not judging whether he dived. You're judging whether it's a penalty.
I couldn't agree more, mate. If
you got away with one there.
No, I couldn't agree more. If you go to the VAR monitor and you overturn your decision because the ref gave a penalty in real time, then he overturned it, he should have went, bam, yellow card for diving. Yeah. Should have done. I agree with you.
100%. Arsenal stay second with a 2-0 win at Leicester. Don, who needs Kai Havertz when you got Mikel Merino?
Did you see his interview after the game? He said, I played as number 9 today. I'm never doing it again. That's what he said. So I'm not doing it again.
This is obviously not Arteta's plan. And in the end, he chucked whatever he could at it.
He had to. Sterling was having an absolute nightmare. He had to make that change. And it's a position that he sort of loosely plays because he plays as at number 8 where he gets in the box. Havertz he's good in the air.
It's very loose.
I know, but he's like, well, Havertz is that sort of... They're quite similar. They're quite similar in terms of they're both good in the box. They both make decent runs. And him being a midfield player, as we've seen for Spain many a time, he can score a headed goal. So it was a no-brainer. Yeah, it's a no-brainer that he got his headed goal. The other one was a good finish at the far post.
Did you persevere with Sterling?
No. I'd play Miles Lewis-Skelly at left back and I'd play Calafiori higher.
Don, we're not done because we have more quick hits.
More!
James Maddison scores the only goal for Tottenham Hotspur as they beat Manchester United, who slipped to 15th in the table. Don, will you be praising Spurs or will you be hammering Manchester United?
Both. I mean, that dart celebration was probably aimed at Roy Keane for having a pop with James Maddison on one of the podcasts that I seen the other day. But I think Spurs deserve a bit of credit, I do, because I listened to Ange the other day, and even though, I sort of disagree when he's saying about, you can't really do much. Well, how about keeping your fullbacks in good positions instead of having them high up the pitch and roaming all over the place? That's something you can fix as a manager. But as he said the other day, try playing with 12, 13 players that have played Saturday, Thursday for 3 months and must be shattered. I always knew Tottenham were going to win this game. Always. Always, Gab.
Even as
Because
United,
it's two bad sides, and United are terrible.
United may be terrible. I'm
They
giving
are.
I'm giving Amorim a pass because no Garter, no Menu, no Amad Diallo. This is going to massively impact the way you play. Xerxes and Garnacho, I don't think could ever play together behind in that number 10.
Here's
role
my
behind the
problem
striker.
with Amorim, right?
And you have to play Casemiro. Sorry, let me just finish this point. And then you look at the chances that they created in the game, or the chances that they had in the game.
Yeah.
You look at the fact that Vicario was arguably Spurs' best player.
But that's a one-off game. That's like a one-off.
No, but that's what we're talking. We're talking about this game.
No,
We're
but
not
United have been rubbish under Amorim.
Okay, but we're talking about this specific game.
But I still knew Tottenham were going to win. They've got more firepower than Man United. Did you see Garnacho's miss?
It's got more firepower. What? Big.
The top
Are
of
you
the
saying
pitch.
like Jules back? Is it like Matisse Tell fan club again?
No,
Well,
but you've got Kulusevski and you've got Son. You've got guys that can score goals. Did you see Garnacho's miss over the crossbar?
yes, I did. It was a
Awful.
bad miss.
But that's terrible technique, Gab. That's unbelievably bad
All I'm gonna
technique.
say, this is
so you can
not-
say you create chances, and you do, but if you haven't got technically good players to finish them off, then you haven't got good players.
Right, but I'm
and
saying
here's my problem with Amorim, right? Me and you are going to role play again, because we like a little bit of role play today. Let's pretend me and you are on the coaching staff,
Okay.
right, Man United, and I'll be the manager and you be my assistant.
Okay.
No, you be the manager, and you say to me, Don, tell you what we're going to do today, because he's obsessed now with this 3 at the back and 4 across midfield, which he's not helping his players because he hasn't got the personnel to play the system that he wants. So how about change your system and help the group of players? But you say to me, Don, I tell you what we're going to do today. We're going to play Casemiro and Bruno Fernandes in midfield in a 2. And I go, leave it at Gab. They can't run. Right. And then you turn around another day and you go, I tell you what we're going to do, Don. We're going to play Kobbie Mainoo as a false 9. And I go, what? Not Højlund, not Xerxes. Then another day you go, I tell you what we're going to do. We're going to play Ugarte and Kobbie Mainoo in midfield. There's no legs in any of the Man United midfield players that you want to pick. So how about putting 3 in there? How about not being stubborn and obsessed and losing every single game because now you've put your flag in the sand and you said, we're never going to change the system. In my opinion, he's not helping his players.
Don, I have to go there. Manchester City pummel Newcastle to win 4-0 as Omar Marmoush scores a hat-trick in the first 33 minutes. Were Jules and I wrong about him?
100% you were wrong. I can't believe you even doubted Marmoush. Not just in this game, Gab. I've seen him for 18 months, and he's got this ability and Szoboszlai does it for Liverpool, and he's got this great ability to run in behind. It's one of his strengths, and he'd done it. It was a tactical thing from Guardiola where Erling Haaland was coming short and he was running in behind. Great example for the first goal when Newcastle went man for man. They did get pummeled, Newcastle. They got absolutely beat up. He was brilliant. He scores all types of goals. I think for £70 million, I think it's going to end up being an absolute snip.
A snip at 70 million.
Well, yeah, but if you think they sold Julian Alvarez for close to 90 and they never replaced him, they needed that running power in behind. That's what he does.
All right.
I think it could be an absolute snip. I think he's an amazing player and he's only going to get better under
We'll
Pep.
have to agree to disagree
Well,
over whether that's good use of money. This was way back on Friday, but Brighton trounced Chelsea 3-0 as Kaoru Mitoma scored a worldie. Don, tough times once more for my boy Enzo Maresca.
Yeah, he's struggling. I think what he's struggling with is trying to mould this group of players because I watch Enzo Fernandez just rolling and strolling around on a football pitch and does whatever he wants when the game goes away from him. So you can argue that's on the player to have more discipline. I would put it on Maresca to start making sure tactically, even if you go behind, that you have players who play the position. He's got a young group of players, so there's the sort of argument, but the goalkeeper's not good enough. Without Jackson, who's quite raw, Nkunku's just not done it. You know, I find it bizarre. I know he's a player that had a really bad injury when he first went there, but he has been way off the pace since he went to Chelsea. Chelsea have carried Nkunku for the last year or so. So
You carried him and played him.
well, that's what I'm saying. But even when he has played, doesn't turn up. So come on, what you doing? Instead of blowing balloons every now and again, when you score a goal against Noah in an 8-0 win, come on, you're a Champions League player. I thought he was going to be a brilliant signing for Chelsea. I thought he...
Yeah.
Well, come on then, start doing it.
Nkunku's position is Cole Palmer's position.
You
He
can
should
play
not be playing.
in an emergency game against Brighton. You can play as an... We just talked about Miguel Marino scoring 2. You can play that position if you're Christopher Nkunku. It's not a great change.
I don't see how you can go...
It's not a great change to play from a 10 to a 9. Come on, man, adapt. Professional
He's a completely
footballer.
different skill set
No, but
to
you can
Nico
do
Jackson.
it. No, but you can do it. Come on, it's
Yeah,
like
of
everyone
course
gets
you can do it, but I'm saying I'm not going to blame
obsessed.
Christopher Nkunku over this when there's other people making mistakes.
But Gab, the whole point of playing, and I'm not putting myself in the bracket of any of these modern day players, I could play nearly any position. I played as a 10. I played as an 8. I played at fullback. I played at centre half. You can do it. Come on, adapt.
You're the Geordie Weston
No,
McKennie.
well, maybe, but maybe because you've got to be a problem solver. Have the ability to play. Right, come on, like Christopher. I need you
he
today.
does, but he does it differently.
You're playing as a number 9 today. Come on, do it.
He does, but he does it differently. In the same way that, look, let's go back. Take you back to young Don Hutchison, right?
Yeah.
Oh, injury crisis at Liverpool. Oh, Robbie Fowler's out. Let's play Don up front
And
instead of Robbie.
And I did.
Okay, that's fine. Did the other players have to adjust to you because you're tall and Robbie Fowler's small and give you the different service and whatever?
Yes, but
that's
you do
all
it.
I'm saying.
But you do it.
No, I'm not saying you do it, but
the other players
does it
do
make
as
the
well.
team markedly worse that when Robbie Fowler goes out, he's not replaced by an off-brand Robbie Fowler. He's replaced by somebody who has a completely different skill set.
But then,
that's all I'm saying.
And you're right. But come on, Neto, you do it. Come on, Madueke, you do it. Come on, Cole Palmer, you do it. You can't just chuck a result in because you haven't got a number 9. Come on, football's pretty simple.
All right. Let's go to the Techers Corner. Just because Jules here, he wouldn't have been talking about this. He would have talked 20 minutes about the way Mitoma controlled the ball.
Exactly. Who deserves a mention?
How difficult is it? Is it not just a case of just making your foot a little bit limp and soft when it comes in?
It is that, but trying to judge a ball that's been pinged over the top from the goalkeeper and then taking it with a really soft touch on your laces, then taking another little touch to keep it in your stride, then burying it in the bottom corner. I mean, it's a world-class goal. If Messi scores that, we're going ballistic. If Prime Messi scores that, R9, anyone, Ronaldo, anyone scores that, we're saying that'll go down as history as one of the best goals you've ever seen.
Ipswich go down to 10 men in the first half, but still hang on for a 1-1 draw at Aston Villa. Don, these are games that Unai Emery needs to win if he wants to get Villa back into the Champions League. And, even the Rashford, Asensio in the second half, they didn't work their magic.
No, there's something about Villa this season that's quite puzzling. They normally tend to struggle after Champions League games. I mean, the obvious is they haven't got any centre-backs. That's why they've took Disasi on loan from Chelsea.
But this wasn't after Champions League game.
No. I'm just saying that was part of it where they lose off the back of a Champions League game. This one wasn't. I think the only thing you can look at, because they've got enough forwards, they've got enough midfield players, is there's a massive injury crisis at the back. But you've still got to beat Ipswich, by the way, when they go down to 10 men. That squad, that team... Manager, you have to beat them.
You play more than a half.
I know.
Against a team that's in the relegation zone.
They have to beat them, Gab.
Even the goal that they gave up. All right, Amari Hutchinson, nice ball, but
Maatsen doesn't stop the cross. Delap gets in ahead of 3 defenders or 3.
That's what I mean. Yeah. There's 3 bodies there.
I know. It's. I don't think it's a tactical thing. It must be quite hard for Unai Emery to try and put his fingers on because, as you said, the players that come off the bench or the guys that are starting games against the 10-man Ipswich should be beating them every day of the week. Let's do some boring stuff, lawyer stuff, Gab. The arbitration tribunal sided with Manchester City on Friday, ruling that the Premier League's associated party transactions in force between 2021-2024 are void. What does this mean in layman's terms?
It's not just void, but void and unenforceable too, which seems stupid. It just seems like a stupid lawyer term. Just unenforceable doesn't mean you can't enforce them. It means you're not allowed to enforce them. So
to a layman like me, what does this mean?
All right. Without getting overly boring, these are the associated party transaction rules, which basically say that they kind of govern things like sponsorships and sort of fair market value. So if you have control over an associated party, like say Etihad Airways, for example, you can't just go to Etihad and say, oh, look, sponsor City for $1 billion, right?
Right.
So that's the idea. City argued that the way that they were written should have been more comprehensive and should have included other things, like, for example, shareholder loans. Some clubs like Brighton and Arsenal, the owner loans money to the club. So it's still an associated party transaction.
My God, I'm lost already.
Okay, but basically they get the loan money cheaper. In the grand scheme of things, I don't think this makes a big deal. It's not like City are in trouble or the Premier League are in trouble or City can go on because there will be other rules. The UEFA rules are still in place. So, City aren't going to go. It's not going to be some loophole that people can exploit here. What it does show, it reinforces City's willingness to go and take legal action.
So this has got nothing to do with 115 charges at all.
And crucially, has nothing to do with 115 charges, other than to show, again, City's willingness to go and seek legal redress outside of it. And, in the broader context of the Premier League, we're talking about arguably the most successful sports league in the world, apart from the NFL, or along with the NFL, if you like. The one thing that I think is a real concern is the Premier League, for the first sort of 25 years of its existence, the club saw themselves as business partners, and this is how the NFL teams see themselves, and they work together. If there's disagreement, it's behind closed doors. Now, this issue has become so contentious, maybe because of City's dominance or whatever, that they clearly cannot resolve this stuff behind closed doors, and it goes to the lawyers, and it's lawsuits, and it's this, and it's that, and it's Lord Panic, and all this nonsense. It's not a good way to do it. Ideally, you would they could sit down and write rules so that they could self-govern. And I think this is part of City's point, we don't want to be self-governing. We want to be able to, we don't have faith that we can be self-governing and fair at the same time. And I think in terms of the court of public opinion, because people will confuse this with 115 charges and stuff like that, it's just simply going to undermine the authority of the Premier League further. And I think this could turn into a problem down the road. Unless, of course, Mansour says, enough of this. I'm going to sell the club and move on. And then, of course, that's a different issue. Anthony scores a worldie for Betis. Really, really nice goal. You saw this. They beat Real Sociedad 3-0 as their opponents finished the game with 9 men. He's ripping it up in La Liga. It's not just the goal. He had the assist as well. Did United miss a trick? Did he write him off too soon?
Scored one on Thursday as well.
Come on, you love picking on Amorim, right?
No, there's two schools of thought here. There's always two schools of thought when a player doesn't do it. It's either the club didn't give him enough love, they didn't give him enough confidence, they didn't manage him very well, or the player was just not good enough for Man United. The club was too big for him. There's always two schools of thought on there. So
which is the Don Hutchison school of thought?
Well, it's a difficult one because I commentated and we all did and watched Anthony rip it up for Ajax, especially in the Champions League, and we thought, what a signing. I mean, not at £90 million. Granted, he was probably a £40, £50 million player. But the talent was there.
75 million.
Oh, whatever, but the talent's there.
Yeah.
And that's why they bought him, because of the talent. So have Man United not got the best out of him, or did he arrive at Man United thinking, off-the-field problems, my form's not good? Then I would question the player. What have you got? We talked about Nkunku before. So from Anthony's point of view, why couldn't you get your game going? Because he didn't have any good games I can think of for Man United. So that's down to the player, because the manager and the club
can give you the step-overs.
All right. But his radar was 40 yards off every time he was bending it on his left foot and skying it over the bar. So I would put it on the player thinking, you've made that jump from Ajax to Man United. You've made the jump from the Eredivisie to the Premier League, which is a whole new animal, and you couldn't survive. So that's why it's probably... And all footballers find their level, Gab. It doesn't matter where you are and where you move to. If I go to Barcelona tomorrow and I'm not good enough, and I come down a few clubs and I'm still not good enough, and I find my level at Championship level, that is my level. Or I'm mid-Premier League, or I'm Liverpool. Where footballers, I always feel as though whatever footballer you want to judge, they always, whatever it is, top, bottom, middle, you'll find your level. And Anthony maybe find his level at Betis.
Did Matt Letizia find his level?
Mic drop. He would say Southampton legend, he did. Others might say, I wish you had joined one of the top boys to see how you done. So good question.
It's just a message to Manchester United fans. If you want to be fans of Betis, of Aston Villa, of wherever Terrell Malacia, I'm blanking on wherever he moved to, I think it's really big if United can get money back and clear salary space in the summer for Rashford, for Anthony.
But they need it for PSR reasons, don't they? They need to try and move players on, especially.
I mean, the way the mood is right now, where they're pleading poverty every which way, they're not going to, unless they win the Europa League, which you don't seem to be very big on, or the FA Cup. They won't have European football next season.
Yeah. I wouldn't fancy them against Tottenham, who beat them 3 times already this season.
So you want all these guys to do well. So, if you're bored with United, watch Betis and cheer on your pal Anthony.
Sorry, Gab.
Yep.
Man City requested that the Premier League delay the start of the 25-26 season because of their involvement in the Club World Cup. What'd they say?
They laughed. They had a vote, and then 19 of the 20 clubs says, ha, 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 whatever. Look, this is not going to happen. Because they're saying
never going to happen.
So not just that, it's also like, guys, City, Simon Cliff and mates, lawyers, you guys keep suing us, and now you want to ask us for a favor?
Exactly.
You seriously? So that to benefit you?
Yeah.
because you're going to competition which will earn you more money? Legitimately?
We'll delay the restart of the whole Premier League calendar.
I don't think so.
No.
But look, you can't fault them for trying, right?